Some moments split your life into before and after. My first teaching job, meeting Richard, Vivian's birth, and now, standing in my kitchen, hearing my daughter calmly say she mortgaged my home without my consent. He needed it more, Mom, Vivian says, no guilt in her tone. She used my documents to take a $285,000 loan against my paid-off house. Greg's startup has potential. You're 68. He's 45 with years to earn. I stare at her, unrecognizable. This isn't the Vivian I raised, the girl who wept over dead caterpillars, the teen who helped at the senior center, the woman who vowed to her father to care for me. She's cold, calculating. For 47 days, I sat by Richard's hospital bed as cancer took him. I held his hand, wet his lips, read his favorite poems through sleepless nights. Vivian visited 3 times, citing kids' activities or Greg's meetings. While I watched over my husband of 46 years, my daughter collected my financial papers, forged my signature, and used my home, my only security, to fund Greg's latest business scheme. The payments are $1,750 a month, she says, like it's a minor bill. Just for a year or 2 until Greg's company succeeds. We'll pay it back. My pension is $2,300 a month. That leaves me $450 for food, utilities, everything else. Vivian, I say, my voice steady despite my shock, this is my home, my only asset. You had no right. Dad would have wanted to support family, she snaps, her usual excuse when she wants something. Richard loved family, but he cut off Vivian and Greg after their third failed venture drained $120,000 from our savings. Your father would never have allowed this behind my back while he was dying, I say softly. Her face hardens, revealing a stranger beneath the daughter I thought I knew. It's done, she says. Papers are signed, money's transferred. Greg's company is moving forward. You'll just manage the payments until we take over. A strange calm settles over me, like the eye of a storm. For 42 years, I've been Vivian's mother, excusing her flaws, believing in her goodness despite the signs. But now, I'm Eleanor Bishop again, the woman I was before motherhood, with strengths beyond nurturing. I see, I say, grabbing my purse. Inside is my wallet, phone, and a letter from Mutual Life Insurance, confirming the $750,000 policy Richard and I kept secret, knowing Vivian's recklessness might threaten us. She misreads my calm as surrender. I knew you'd get it, she says, relaxing. It's best for everyone. When Greg's company grows, we'll take care of you. I look at my kitchen, where I cooked countless meals, where Richard and I danced on our 40th anniversary, where Vivian baked cookies and shared her engagement news. Those memories feel tainted now. Then don't complain about what happens next, I say quietly, heading for the door. What does that mean? Vivian calls, a hint of worry in her voice. Mom, where are you going? I don't reply. The door closes with a soft click, marking a massive shift. In my Honda, Richard's gift to me despite Vivian's claim a used car was fine for my age, I sit, hands steady on the wheel. My phone buzzes. Vivian's text, Mom, you're overreacting. Come back to talk rationally. I silence it and drive off, glimpsing Vivian at the window, confused and annoyed. She's never seen this side of me. The woman before motherhood is back, emerging after years of dormancy. I'm Eleanor Bishop, 68, widowed, betrayed by my only child, driving from a home I didn't mortgage, with no plan but a clear sense of what's next. Cedar Grove knows me as a kind teacher. That woman is gone. In her place is the one who once closed million-dollar deals in Boston, who chose teaching from passion, not need. I won't lose my dignity. As my neighborhood fades in the rearview, grief and shock mix with a spark of anticipation. For the first time in years, I'm free from motherhood's constraints. I'm a woman with a problem to solve, and I was always good at solving problems. Then don't complain about what happens next, I told Vivian, and I meant it. The Harbor Inn Motel sits at Cedar Grove's edge, its faded blue walls and flickering neon sign a familiar sight, rarely a stop for locals. I pay cash for 3 nights, ignoring the clerk's curious look. A woman my age, alone, stands out in a place meant for fishermen and budget travelers. Room 12 is simple but clean, a worn floral comforter, a small table, 2 chairs, threadbare towels in the bathroom. It feels like the apartment Richard and I shared after college, before we built the home that's no longer mine. I set my purse on the bed, checking my phone, 17 missed calls from Vivian, 3 from Greg, a text from my neighbor Martha, "Vivian came by looking for you." Seemed upset. "Everything okay?" I text Martha back, taking some time alone. "We'll explain later. Please don't share with Vivian." Martha, a widow for 5 years, texts back quickly, "Understood. I'm here if you need me." Her simple support brings tears to my eyes, the first since Vivian's betrayal hit me. I sit on the motel bed, letting the weight of it all sink in. Richard is gone. My daughter has betrayed me deeply. My home carries a debt I didn't approve. At 68, when I should be enjoying a quiet retirement, I'm facing financial ruin. The tears don't last. I've never lingered in self-pity, something Richard always loved about me. "Eleanor Bishop doesn't wallow," he'd say with pride. "She assesses and addresses." That was my mantra in my finance days before teaching. Now, it's time to use it again. I open my laptop, once used for grading papers, and start digging into the mess. First, I check the mortgage Vivian took on my home. Online banking shows $285,000 at 6.8% interest, a 30-year term, with a balloon payment in 5 years. The money went straight to Green Innovations LLC, Greg's company, formed 3 months ago while Richard was too sick to notice. Next, I look into the legal side. I've been out of finance for years, but I know fraud when I see it. If Vivian forged my signature or acted without permission, there are legal options. I list elder law attorneys in the county, focusing on those who handle financial exploitation cases. Then, I research Green Innovations. Their website is flashy but vague, full of buzzwords like disruptive technology with no clear product or service. The team page lists Greg as CEO and 3 young associates I've never heard of, despite Vivian's constant talk about his ventures. By midnight, my eyes burn, but my mind is sharper than it's been since Richard's diagnosis. I have a plan with 3 tracks: legal, consult an attorney about the mortgage; financial, protect my assets, including Richard's insurance payout; intelligence, investigate Green Innovations' real prospects. I close my laptop and get ready for bed. The motel's thin mattress is no match for the memory foam Richard bought for his bad back. As I drift off, my father's words from my first finance job echo, "Eleanor, information is currency, and timing is everything. No more, move faster, and you'll win." Tomorrow, I'll use that currency and timing. Vivian and Greg think I'm a fragile widow, too broken to fight back. They were wrong to betray me. They're even more wrong to underestimate me. Morning brings new energy. After a quick shower and vending machine breakfast, coffee and muffins, I drive to Coastal Community Bank, where Richard and I kept our accounts. Marion Jenkins, the branch manager, has known us for 20 years, sharing church pews and library board meetings. "Eleanor," she says warmly, with a hint of sympathy, "I'm so sorry about Richard. How are you holding up?" "Managing, one day at a time," I reply, keeping it brief. "Marion, can we talk privately about some account changes?" In her office, door closed, I explain the situation with a calm that surprises me. Marion's face shifts from concern to shock to quiet anger. "This is financial exploitation, Eleanor," she says. "As a mandated reporter, I must report this to Adult Protective Services." I hadn't thought of that, but it makes sense. I appreciate it. For now, I need to secure my remaining assets. She nods, her fingers flying over the keyboard. "Let's review your accounts and their status." We spend an hour going through everything. My checking account has $4,278. Savings holds $12,350. A $35,000 CD matures in 3 months. Most importantly, the $750,000 insurance check I deposited yesterday is on a 5-day hold. I need to ensure Vivian can't touch these funds, I say. She's a signator on the checking account for emergencies, but I want that removed now. Marion updates the accounts swiftly, easing my nerves. The insurance funds clear by Friday, she says. What's your plan for them? Nothing yet, I reply. I need legal advice first, but I want them safe from any access attempts. Done, she says. Vivian's authorization is gone, and I've added a security flag for extra verification on transactions. She pauses, then adds softly, Eleanor, I've known you all for 20 years. I never expected this from Vivian. Neither did I admit, my calm cracking slightly. Neither did I. As I leave the bank, my phone rings, Vivian, for the 23rd time. I answer this time. Mom, where are you? She demands, more annoyed than worried. I've been calling forever. I know, I say evenly. I needed time to process that my daughter mortgaged my home without my consent while I cared for my dying husband. You're being dramatic, she snaps. It's a family financial move. Greg's company will be huge, an AI healthcare app with investors already interested. Her mention of the business is the first real detail about green innovations. I note it for later. Vivian, what you did was unethical and likely illegal, I say calmly. I'm consulting an attorney about my options. An attorney? She scoffs. You'd sue your own daughter? Your only child? I'm protecting my legal rights over a fraudulent mortgage, I correct. That it's my daughter is unfortunate but doesn't change the law. Silence follows. Then, Dad would be so disappointed in you. Her attempt to use Richard's memory sparks fury so strong I can barely breathe. Don't you dare use your father to justify this, I say, voice low. He'd be horrified, and you know it. I hang up, hands trembling as I pocket my phone. The call confirms it. Vivian feels no remorse, only anger that I won't comply. There's no appealing to her better side, no resolution without legal and financial safeguards. I head to Harriet Winter's office, the top elder law attorney from my research. Her receptionist says she's booked for 2 weeks, but after I explain my situation, I'm asked to wait. 5 minutes later, I'm facing Harriet, a sharp-eyed woman my age with a no-nonsense air that instantly reassures me. Financial exploitation of seniors is most of my work now, she says after hearing my story. Scammers and caregivers are common, but family members are rising. What's unique is how fast you're acting. Most don't seek help until the damage is worse. I worked 15 years in corporate finance before teaching, I tell Harriet. I can spot fraud, even when it's my own daughter. Harriet's eyebrows lift. Finance to teaching? That's quite a shift. I wanted a job that fit better with raising a family, I say. The irony stings, giving up my career for a daughter who'd betray me. Your experience is your strength now, Harriet says sharply. Here's the plan, we file an emergency injunction to block any more transactions on your property. Then, we challenge the mortgage as fraudulent, likely forged. We'll also pursue elder abuse charges through Adult Protective Services for extra leverage. Her strategy matches my instincts. How long will this take? It depends on how hard your daughter and son-in-law push back, Harriet says bluntly. My goal is to void the mortgage in 3 to 6 months. I sign the $5,000 retainer agreement without a second thought, using my limited funds. As I leave, Harriet adds, Eleanor, document everything, texts, calls, financial papers. Information is your greatest asset. I smile, hearing my father's old advice, information is currency, Eleanor. I plan to be rich in it. Back at the motel, I turn the small table by the window into a workspace. My teacher's organization blends with my old financial analyst skills as I sort and categorize evidence. Vivian and Greg think I'm a grieving widow, too broken to fight. They're about to learn how wrong they are. That evening, a text from an unknown number, Mrs. Bishop, this is Kevin Shao. I worked with Greg on his medical records project until last month. We should talk. Call if interested. I stare at the message, a smile forming. My intelligence gathering just got a boost. I save the number, planning my next step. Vivian and Greg used my home for their business dreams. They'll soon learn the cost of that choice. I meet Kevin Shaw at a coffee shop in the next town, far enough from Cedar Grove to avoid prying eyes but public enough to feel safe. He's younger than I expected, late 20s, earnest, a bit disheveled, like someone who values brains over looks. Thanks for meeting me, Mrs. Bishop, he says, fidgeting with his coffee. I wasn't sure you'd reply. How did you get my number, Mr. Shao? I ask, keeping my teachers calm despite my curiosity. He looks sheepish. I had access to Green Innovation's contact database before I left. You were listed as a potential investor. That stuns me. Vivian and Greg plan to ask me for money before mortgaging my home behind my back. Why did you leave Green Innovations? I ask, cutting to the point. Kevin glances around, then leans in. Ethical issues, Mrs. Bishop. Greg hired me to build an AI for secure patient records. But when funds ran low, the project shifted to something shady. Be specific, I press. They're making an algorithm to flag patients who need costly treatments but have insurance that won't fully pay. It helps healthcare companies dodge unprofitable patients. The cynicism shocks me. My home was mortgaged for this. Kevin nods, looking miserable. When I challenged it, Greg fired me, saying I lacked vision. 3 others left too. Now it's just inexperienced grads who don't see the legal risks. Do you have proof of this shift? I ask, my analyst brain zeroing in on evidence. Emails, meeting notes, the original business plan versus current guidelines, he says, hesitating. I shouldn't have these, but I kept copies because I was worried. Will you share them with my attorney? I ask. His answer is instant, that's why I reached out. I heard Greg got funding despite our issues, and it involved your property. I couldn't stay quiet. We spent an hour reviewing his flash drive's contents. The evidence is damning. Green Innovations started with good intentions but turned to unethical practices when development hit snags. Worse, their new plan risks violating healthcare discrimination laws, something Greg hid from investors. This company won't survive, I say, my old analysis skills kicking in. Legal challenges will sink it before it grows. I agree, Kevin says. That's why the mortgage is so bad. That money will vanish with nothing to show. As we part, Kevin pauses. Mrs. Bishop, I hope this helps. I'm not usually a whistleblower, but... You have integrity, Mr. Shao, I say. That's rare. Thank you. Back at the Harbor Inn, I secure the flash drive and call Harriet to share the news. This is huge, she says. If Greg knew the business was flawed when he took the mortgage, it strengthens our fraud case. I'll rush the injunction filing. I check my phone, 3 more demanding texts from Vivian and 1 from Greg that infuriates me. Eleanor, Vivian's upset by your overreaction. The mortgage is standard business. Drop this attorney nonsense or you'll waste money you need. Be reasonable. His condescension, using my first name, dismissing my rights, fuels my determination. I don't reply. Instead, I call Marion at the bank to confirm the insurance funds clear tomorrow. Then I call Martha, who's been watching my house. Lots of activity, she reports. Vivian and Greg were there last night, moving boxes. Today, a man in a suit was taking photos of the exterior. Photos? That's alarming. Yeah, measuring the yard too, like an appraisal, she adds. Are they planning to sell my home or renovate it for profit? Either way, they're moving fast despite my resistance. Martha, can you log all visitors and activity at the house? It could help my case. Already doing it, she says, her librarian precision shining. Dates, times, descriptions, even sneaky photos from my garden when they loaded boxes into Greg's car. You're a lifesaver, I tell her. Nonsense, she says. This isn't right, Eleanor. Richard would be livid. Her mention of Richard brings pain and clarity. He was my moral guide, his integrity rock solid even when it cost us. What would he say now? It's clear, protect yourself first, seek justice, not revenge. That distinction drives me. I review tomorrow's plan as the insurance funds near. I must secure them while staying flexible for legal battles. Vivian and Greg's willingness to forge documents means I can't underestimate their next move. My phone buzzes with a text from Vivian, Mom, the silent treatment is childish. Greg and I are building wealth for our family, including you. Stop taking it personally. Her lack of self-awareness is almost funny, but it's infuriating. Objecting to my home being mortgaged without consent isn't personal, it's survival. Her mental gymnastics are staggering. For a moment, I wonder about the daughter I raised. Was she always this way, and I missed it? Or did something, Greg, maybe, or their obsession with wealth, change her? These questions have no clear answers. They don't change my reality either. My home is tied up with a fraudulent mortgage. My daughter and son-in-law see me as a cash source, not a person deserving respect. At 68, newly widowed, I'm starting over in ways I never expected. Tomorrow, when the insurance funds clear, I'll start rebuilding my security. Vivian and Greg will soon see the mother they underestimated. Friday dawns clear, a perfect New England fall day, hiding the storm in my life. I check out of the harbor in after 4 nights, my longest motel stay, and head to Coastal Community Bank. Marion greets me in her office with good news. The insurance funds are available today, she says. All $750,000 is ready for your instructions. The sum feels unreal, more than Richard and I ever had at once. We bought the policy 30 years ago when it was cheap, expecting to need it much later. Richard's death at 70 from pancreatic cancer wasn't in our retirement plans. I want to move $700,000 to a new account at First Atlantic Bank, I tell Marion, after researching my options. Keep $50,000 here in a new account, just in my name. She nods, understanding my strategy. Splitting assets across banks adds protection against unauthorized access. First Atlantic has no link to Vivian, making it harder for her to try more financial tricks. Here's the wire transfer form, Marion says, sliding it over. Sign, and the funds will reach First Atlantic in hours. As I sign, grief mixes with empowerment. This money is Richard's last gift, a safeguard he set up years ago, paid despite tight budgets as teachers. It was meant to protect me from financial insecurity in my later years. Richard would be proud, Marion says softly, as if sensing my thoughts. He always called you the family's backbone, even when you let him feel like he was. Her words bring tears, the first today, though more will come. Thank you, I say, taking the tissue she offers. With the transfer started, I move to my next step. Harriet has set up a meeting with a real estate attorney right after this. Timing is everything, and I need expert advice. Douglas Freeman's office is on the second floor of a colonial building on Cedar Grove's Main Street. At 75, he's the town's top real estate lawyer, with nearly 50 years of experience. Mrs. Bishop, he says warmly, rising from a desk piled with papers. Harriet told me about your situation. It's troubling. I value his straightforwardness. I need to know my options for the house, Mr. Freeman. Can I sell it despite the fraudulent mortgage? He leans back, fingers steepled. Yes, but it's tricky. The mortgage, though fraudulent, is recorded. Selling means paying it off or holding funds in escrow until the fraud case is resolved. Why sell instead of just fighting the mortgage? He asks gently. That home's been yours for decades. His question hits a truth I've been grappling with. It doesn't feel like home anymore, I admit. Every room is tainted by Vivian's betrayal, and it's too big for me alone now. Douglas nods. Then let's list the house while challenging the mortgage. It keeps your options open and maximizes your financial gain. What about buyers wary of legal issues? I ask. With disclosure and a fair price, some will bite, he says, especially if we add contingencies for the mortgage resolution. Cedar Grove's market is hot, particularly for homes like mine. We spend an hour planning, aligning with Harriet's legal strategy. I leave with a clear path, list the house competitively, use buyer interest as leverage against Vivian and Greg, and keep fighting the mortgage. Next, I visit Jenny Sullivan Real Estate, the best agency in town. Jenny, a sharp woman in her 50s who's sold more local homes than anyone, greets me warmly, then frowns as I explain. Eleanor, this is outrageous, she says, clearly upset. I've known Vivian since she was in my daughter's Girl Scout troop. I never imagined this. Neither did I say, the truth still raw. But I want to list the house now. Jenny matches my urgency. In an hour, we set a $475,000 listing price, below market to draw quick interest, and book a photographer for tomorrow. The listing goes live Monday. You'll need to disclose the mortgage issue, Jenny says, but we'll frame it as a legal matter being resolved. Your house's location and condition should still pull strong interest. As I leave, Martha texts, Greg's at your house with 3 men in suits, measuring rooms, taking photos. They're already planning their next move, maybe renovations to boost the house's value for a sale they think they control. Their boldness stuns me. I drive to a quiet cafe on the town's edge, needing space to think. Over tea and a tasteless sandwich, I review my progress. The insurance money is safe, split between banks. Legal action against the mortgage is moving. The house lists Monday. Kevin Zhao's evidence shows Greg's shady business, but I still don't know exactly how Vivian pulled off the mortgage fraud. That knowledge would strengthen my case and guard against future attempts. My phone rings, an unknown number. Mrs. Bishop, this is Diane Kramer from First Fidelity Mortgage, the voice says. We found irregularities in a recent home equity loan application in your name. My heart races. I never applied for that loan. That's the issue, Diane says, her tone concerned. Our fraud team flagged it. The signatures and documents don't match our checks. I need to see those documents, I say, grabbing my notebook. I'm already fighting a fraudulent mortgage on my property. We should meet in person, she suggests. I have information I'd rather not share over the phone. We set a Monday meeting in Portsmouth. Hanging up, I feel grim satisfaction. The pieces are falling into place. Vivian and Greg tried multiple loans on my house, not just one. Their greed might be their downfall. In my car, I check my phone, 7 missed calls from Vivian and a text that infuriates me. Mom, stop messing with the insurance money. It's family money, not just yours. We need to decide how to split it. Her claim to Richard's policy, meant solely for my security, hardens my resolve. This isn't just about the house anymore. It's about setting boundaries I never thought I'd need with my daughter. I start the car, knowing exactly where I'm headed. I need to see what Vivian and Greg are doing to my home while I'm gone. I park a block from my house, a strange precaution for a place I've called home for 40 years. From Martha's driveway, I watch closely. Greg's silver BMW sits next to a van marked Coastal Renovations. Through my living room windows, I see people moving, acting like they own my house. Martha steps out, garden shears in hand as a cover. They've been here since 10, she whispers, pretending to trim her hydrangeas. The crew's measuring for a full kitchen remodel. Greg told them to focus on resale value. This confirms my fears. They plan to renovate and sell my house, betting I'll give in. Their nerve leaves me speechless. Is Vivian here? I ask, curious if my daughter is part of this. Not today, Martha says. Just Greg and the contractors. She hesitates. Eleanor, don't face them alone. Greg seemed tense, talking on the phone about securing the asset before you cause trouble. Her worry makes sense, but I'm past caution. Thanks, Martha, but I need to see this. Can you call me in 15 minutes? It'll give me an out if things get heated. She agrees, making me promise to leave if I feel unsafe. I take a deep breath and walk to my front door, red from Richard's bold choice to make our home stand out. I unlock it with my key. The kitchen chatter stops as the door opens. For men, Greg and 3 workers with tape measures and notepads stare at me. Eleanor, Greg says, forcing a smile. Didn't expect you. We're just checking out some upgrades for the property. My property, I correct calmly, setting my purse down deliberately. The one you and Vivian mortgaged without my consent while I was with my dying husband. The workers glance at each other, sensing a family fight beyond their usual jobs. Greg's smile fades. Gentlemen, give us a minute. Wait outside. Once they're gone, his tone shifts. What are you doing, Eleanor? Vivian's a mess over your disappearance, and now you're moving money and talking to lawyers. Stop this now. No, Greg, I say, eyeing the cabinet samples and countertop materials on my table. You need to stop thinking you can control my home or finances, including unapproved renovations. These upgrades help everyone, he says, like he's talking to a stubborn kid. A new kitchen will boost the house's value. For who? I snap. Not me, since you expect me to accept you stealing my home. His face hardens. It's not stealing. It's family asset management. Vivian's your heir. This house would be hers someday. That was my choice, not yours to make, I say, staying calm despite my anger. And as of today, Vivian is no longer my heir. His shock is clear. He didn't expect real consequences. What does that mean, he asks. It means my will is updated. Richard's insurance money is safe from you. And this house goes on sale Monday. Greg's face reddens. You can't sell. There's a mortgage. A fraudulent one, I say, under investigation by my lawyer and First Fidelity's fraud team. His confusion at the name satisfies me. Yes, I know about that loan too. You've been busy. He steps closer, looming in my kitchen. You're making a mistake, Eleanor. We were helping you manage finances you clearly can't handle. This spiteful reaction shows you're not rational. His attempt to paint their fraud as help and my defense as irrational sparks fury inside me. Let me be clear, I say, my voice steady despite my pounding heart. What you and Vivian did was fraud and elder abuse. A betrayal I can barely grasp. But your biggest error wasn't the mortgage, it was underestimating me. My phone rings, Martha's call. I answer, eyes on Greg. Yes, I'm at the house. Everything's fine. I'll be there soon. I grab my purse. The contractors can go. No renovations. A photographer's coming tomorrow for the listing. Vivian won't stand for this, Greg warns, his tone threatening. Neither will I. We have documents showing your approval. Your word against ours. Who'll believe a grieving widow with possible cognitive issues over her caring daughter and son-in-law? Their plan is clear, claim I'm mentally unfit to keep control of my assets. I expected this, but it still chills me. Documents can be checked, Greg. Signatures verified, cognition tested, I say, moving to the door with confidence. I'm grieving, not declining. You'll learn that the hard way. I hear him on the phone with Vivian as I leave, his voice tense and urgent. At Martha's, she's waiting on her porch, worried. You're pale, she says, guiding me inside. What happened? Greg threatened to question my mental competence if I fight the mortgage, I say, taking her offered water. They'll claim I'm impaired to hold on to my assets. Martha's anger mirrors mine. That's vile. You're sharper than anyone in Cedar Grove. Richard always bragged you could tally groceries faster than a scanner. The memory of Richard's pride in my math skills brings comfort. He'd never doubt my mind or let anyone question it. I need to write this down, I say, grabbing my notebook. Harriet stressed, recording every detail fresh. As I note Greg's threats and demeanor, a calm settles over me. The worst is done. My daughter and son-in-law stole from me and now plan to attack my competence to hide it. That line crossed erases any hesitation. They've shown who they are. Now I'll show who I am, not just the patient mother and teacher they dismissed, but the sharp financier ready to fight for what's mine. Martha offers her guest room until this resolves, and I accept, grateful. Staying close lets me watch my house while safe with a trusted friend. Tomorrow, the photographer will shoot my home for the listing, making my plan to sell official, a move Vivian and Greg thought they could override. They'll push harder when the listing goes live, Martha warns as we settle into her guest room. I'm counting on it, I tell Martha, my mind already planning. Sometimes you need to stir things up to reveal the truth. In the quiet of Martha's guest room, I email Harriet about Greg's threats to question my mental competence, copying Douglas Freeman and Marion at the bank. A clear record sent to trusted professionals strengthens my case against their claims. Then I do something I've avoided. I text Vivian directly. I know about the fraudulent mortgage, the first fidelity attempt, and Greg's renovation plans. I know you're ready to challenge my mental competence to control my assets. This ends now. The house lists Monday. Any more moves against my property or finances will lead to legal action, including criminal charges. No negotiation. I send it and silence my phone as it rings instantly. I need rest and focus tonight, not arguments. Tomorrow, I start reclaiming my life in ways Vivian and Greg aren't ready for. Saturday morning glows with crisp New England air, golden sunlight, and leaves turning red and orange. Normally, Richard and I would be apple picking, a tradition we kept for 40 years. Instead, I sit at Martha's table, scrolling through 17 texts and 9 voicemails from Vivian, each angrier than the last. Her 2:18 a.m. voicemail confirms my choice to involve the law. Mom, if you list the house, we'll petition for guardianship. We have Dad's doctor's notes about your emotional state. No one will doubt a daughter worried about her widowed mother's irrational choices. Think carefully. Martha, hearing it on speaker, nearly drops her mug. They'd try to control you legally over your grief? Seems so, I say, forwarding the voicemail to Harriet with a note. They're too deep in this scheme to stop. Jenny's photographer arrives at 10 a.m., a young woman with a sharp eye, capturing my home's best angles while dodging Greg's renovation clutter in the kitchen. I walk her through each room, feeling grief and resolve as I prepare to sell the house where Richard and I raised Vivian and planned to grow old. The listing goes live Monday, Jenny says as the photographer leaves. With this market, expect showings by afternoon. Are you ready? As ready as I'll be, I reply, knowing each showing cuts ties with a home holding 40 years of now-tainted memories. Back at Martha's, Harriet calls with big news. Vivian and Greg filed an emergency guardianship petition, claiming your grief-driven decisions are financially reckless. Hearings Wednesday. Even expecting this, it hits hard, my daughter trying to declare me incompetent. They moved fast, I say, sinking into Martha's armchair. They're using Stanley Preston, an aggressive elder law attorney, Harriet says. But their petition lies about your finances and claims you're giving away money and refusing medical care. We can disprove that. They're using notes from Richard's doctor about my distress during his illness, she adds. Grief isn't cognitive impairment. Exactly, I agree. What's next? I've booked you a cognitive assessment Monday with Dr. Abigail Warner, a top geriatric psychiatrist for capacity cases. Her report will carry weight in court. After the call, I sit, processing Vivian's attempt to control my entire life under the guise of care. It's worse than I imagined. Martha sits beside me. How can I help? Witness statements, I say, logic overriding emotion. The court needs proof of my mental clarity from people I know. Would you provide one about our recent talks? Absolutely, she says. I'll ask Pastor Williams and the library board, too. They've seen you handle complex decisions on the church renovation committee. By Sunday evening, we have 6 statements praising my sharp mind and decision-making, plus Marion's bank records of my careful financial moves, bolstering Dr. Warner's upcoming assessment. Monday brings 2 breakthroughs. First, Dr. Warner's cognitive exam, where I ace every test of memory, judgment, and financial reasoning. Mrs. Bishop, she says, I do dozens of these monthly. Your cognition isn't just fine, it's outstanding for any age. My report will make that clear. At 2 p.m., I meet Diane Kramer at First Fidelity Mortgage. She shows me a bombshell. This application for a $300,000 home equity loan was filed 3 weeks ago, she says, displaying documents with my forged signature alongside the coastal mortgage loan. Another attempt to drain my home's value. I study the fake signature, shaken. Here's the key, Diane says, pulling up a video. We record online application sessions. This shows your application being filled out. The screen capture, timestamped 11:47 p.m. 3 weeks ago when I was at Richard's bedside, shows Vivian at Greg's desk, methodically entering my information during identity verification. This is undeniable proof, Diane says, handing me a flash drive with the recording. Our fraud team reported it to the State Police Financial Crimes Division. This is for your legal case. I grip the flash drive, knowing it's more than evidence, it's the key to proving their fraud beyond doubt. By Monday afternoon, Jenny reports 5 showing requests hours after the listing goes live, proving our pricing works and pressuring Vivian and Greg, who'll see a sale could end their scheme. Back at Martha's, I spot Vivian's red SUV in the driveway. She's on the porch, her face a mix of anger and calculation, barely recognizable. We need to talk, she says, skipping pleasantries. This has gone too far. I stop at the steps, keeping distance. I agree. Your fraudulent mortgage, the First Fidelity attempt, and now trying to declare me incompetent have gone too far. Her eyes narrow at my calm defiance. You're not thinking straight. The guardianship is to protect you. Your grief is driving bad choices. Protecting my assets from theft is the sanest choice I've made, I retort. As for your petition, I'm ready to show the judge your fraud on Wednesday. Her composure cracks, alarm flashing. What fraud? For starters, the First Fidelity video of you filling out a loan in my name, I say, watching her realize she's caught. While I was with your dying father. She pivots fast, years of manipulation kicking in. Mom, Dad's death hit you hard. Greg and I are securing the family's future, including yours. Why can't you see we're helping? Vivian's attempt to spin their theft as help fuels my resolve. This talk is done, Vivian, I say. I'll see you in court Wednesday. From now on, we communicate through lawyers. As I step past her on the porch, she grabs my arm, a move so shocking we both pause. You can't do this, she hisses, gripping my sleeve. Do you know what this could do to Greg's business, our reputation, the kids' college funds? I gently pull free. You should have thought of that before committing fraud. Leave now, or I'll call the police for harassment. Her face shifts from calculation to raw anger. This isn't over. You don't know what you're facing. As she storms to her car, Martha steps out, having watched from inside. Are you okay? She asks, worry clear. I'm fine, I say, though my heart races. But we need security cameras here too. This is getting worse than I expected. That night, I sent Harriet the First Fidelity evidence and details of Vivian's threats, bolstering our case for Wednesday's hearing. This hearing will decide not just my assets but my right to live as a competent adult. In Martha's guest room, I think of Richard. My logical, principled math teacher husband, what would he say? It's clear, stick to truth and evidence. Vivian made her choices as an adult, she faces adult consequences. With that in mind, I turn off the light, ready for tomorrow. Tuesday morning, Detective Sandra Morris from Cedar Grove's Financial Crimes Unit arrives at Martha's at 9 a.m., her tone professional yet kind. Mrs. Bishop, we've had reports from banks about possible fraud with your accounts and property, she says in Martha's living room. Can we discuss this? I'm relieved, I say, grabbing my evidence folder. I've been documenting their fraud for a week. For 2 hours, I share everything: the unauthorized mortgage, the first Fidelity loan attempt, Greg's renovation plans, and their guardianship petition to block my defense. This is blatant elder exploitation, Detective Morris says, reviewing the first Fidelity video of Vivian forging the application. The planning is alarming. They think my age makes me easy prey, I say, the truth's still painful. Many exploiters underestimate older adults' strength, she replies, closing her notebook. Your evidence justifies a criminal investigation. The words hit hard, a criminal probe involving my daughter. I'd hoped to avoid this, but Vivian's escalation leaves no choice. What's next? I ask, voice steady despite my turmoil. We'll take bank statements, log your evidence, and present it to the district attorney for charges, she says. Her expression softens. I know this is tough with family involved. Would you testify if charges are filed? It's a painful choice, testifying against my daughter in court. But letting their exploitation continue is worse. Yes, I say firmly, setting aside maternal instincts. I'll testify. After Detective Morris leaves with my evidence copies, I call Harriet. She's strategic as always. This helps our guardianship hearing, she says. A criminal investigation against them creates a conflict. I'll file a brief today. By noon, Jenny Sullivan reports 11 house showing requests, 3 from pre-qualified buyers, set for Thursday if the hearing goes well. It will, I tell her, my confidence growing with each ally and piece of evidence. My phone buzzes with a text from Kevin Shao. Greg emailed ex-employees, threatening lawsuits over Green Innovations misinformation. He's panicking. This shows my counteroffensive is working. I forward it to Harriet, adding to our record of their desperate moves. Late Tuesday, Douglas Freeman calls with big news. The notary on the mortgage documents reported her stamp was used without permission, he says, excited. She was in Florida when it was supposedly notarized here. Another forgery, I say, adding it to the evidence pile. Not just forgery, notary fraud is a separate crime, Douglas says. I sent everything to Detective Morris and Harriet for the hearing. By evening, as Martha and I make dinner, the situation is clear. What started as betrayal is now a documented pattern of criminal acts. Are you ready for tomorrow? Martha asks, concern in her voice as we clean up. As ready as I can be, I say. I never thought I'd defend my competence against my daughter in court. You're not alone, Martha says, handing me a dried plate. Half the town's angry for you since word spread. Word spread? I ask, surprised. Martha looks sheepish. Pastor Williams mentioned praying for someone facing family elder exploitation at church. No names, but Cedar Grove connects dots. I'm torn between embarrassment and gratitude for the town's support. Vivian and Greg looked sour at church, Martha adds, smirking. They left early when people asked about you. The thought brings my first real smile in days. Small-town opinion is powerful, and it's on my side. That night, I review the timeline Harriet helped me prepare for the hearing. It's damning. While I sat with Richard in his final days, Vivian and Greg exploited my grief for profit. The evidence paints a clear picture of exploitation, not family concern for a struggling elder. My phone buzzes with a final text before bed from Kevin Shao. Green Innovations lost their office lease. Landlord cited reputation issues after a bank pulled financing. Greg was escorted out after threats. Their scheme is unraveling faster than I expected. I set my alarm for 6 a.m. to prepare for the 9 a.m. hearing, feeling a strange sense of vindication, not joy in their downfall, but proof that systems can protect when used right. Tomorrow, I'll face Vivian in court, defending my competence against her bid to control my life. It'll hurt, maybe break me, but it's necessary. In Martha's guest room, I whisper to Richard's memory, I'm doing what's right. I hope you'd agree. The quiet feels like his nod of approval. Cedar Grove's 1892 courthouse looms with granite strength and marble steps, built to command respect for the law. I've driven by it countless times in my decades here, but today I enter to fight my daughter's claim that I'm unfit to manage my life. Harriet meets me on the steps at 8:30 a.m., her sharp suit and calm confidence steadying me. Martha walks with me, insisting on being there for support. Inside, I see the town librarian, 2 former colleagues, and Pastor Williams, their presence surprising but strengthening. Small towns talk, Harriet says, noticing my reaction. They hate seeing someone like you mistreated. The courtroom is smaller than TV shows make it seem, worn wooden benches, oak walls, sunlight through tall windows. Vivian and Greg sit with their lawyer, Stanley Preston, a heavy-set man with a costly suit and a sharp reputation. Vivian glances at me, her face briefly soft before turning cold. Greg whispers to Preston, pointing at papers, ignoring me. They got our filing about the criminal investigation this morning, Harriet murmurs as we sit. They weren't ready for it. Judge Helen Watkins enters at 9 a.m., a slim woman in her 60s with short silver hair and glasses, known for her no-nonsense approach. Good morning, she says, scanning documents. We're here for case FC 2023-157, Eleanor Bishop, on a temporary guardianship petition by Vivian Reynolds, her daughter. She looks between our tables. First, I note the supplemental filing about a criminal investigation into the petitioners for alleged financial exploitation of Mrs. Bishop. Mr. Preston, were you aware of this when filing? She asks. Preston stands, voice booming. Your Honor, we weren't aware of any formal investigation. My clients deny wrongdoing and see these claims as Mrs. Bishop's confusion after her husband's death. Judge Watkins' face stays neutral, but her tone sharpens. Curious, counselor. Explain why the police and 2 banks flagged potential crimes. Preston pivots. Your Honor, the issue is Mrs. Bishop's judgment. Disappearing, trying to sell her home without a new one, moving large sums, these show grief-driven decline. Harriet stands, voice steady. Your Honor, we have evidence refuting this. Dr. Abigail Warner's cognitive assessment yesterday shows Mrs. Bishop's judgment and function are exceptional for any age. We also prove her actions, securing funds, consulting lawyers, listing her house, are rational responses to financial exploitation, she adds. Judge Watkins nods. I've seen Dr. Warner's report, which is strong. Mr. Preston, your petition cites grief as proof of incapacity. Can you show specific cognitive impairment beyond distress? Preston pauses, then says, Your Honor, we have statements from the petitioner noting confusion, memory issues, and odd decisions. From an interested party, Judge Watkins says, who, per police reports, tried to fraudulently secure loans on Mrs. Bishop's property. That's a clear conflict. She turns to me. Mrs. Bishop, tell me about these events. Vivian's stare burns as I stand, memories of her as a trusting child flashing, pigtails, learning to bike, holding my hand. The contrast with the woman who forged papers as I sat with her dying father hurts deeply. I face Judge Watkins, using my steady teacher's voice from 40 years in the classroom. Your Honor, while I cared for my husband in his final days, my daughter and son-in-law secretly mortgaged my paid-off home without my consent. When I found out after Richard's death, Vivian said, he needed it more than you, meaning her husband's business over my security, I say. I lay out the timeline, every discovery, every piece of evidence, every step to protect myself. My voice holds firm, despite the pain of exposing my daughter's betrayal publicly. My actions, securing insurance funds, hiring attorneys, listing my house, are not confusion, I say. They're calculated moves to counter family I trusted who exploited me. The courtroom stays silent as I finish. Judge Watkins studies me, then turns to Vivian. Ms. Reynolds, care to respond to your mother's testimony? Vivian stands, visibly shaken. Your Honor, Mom's always been strong and independent, a great teacher and parent. But since Dad's diagnosis, she's paranoid, assuming the worst of us. Her attempt to call my defense paranoia might work without the evidence proving my fears. Judge Watkins' look shows she sees the gap. Ms. Reynolds, we have a forged mortgage application, security footage of you filing a false loan, and a notary's report of falsified credentials. How do these align with calling your mother's concerns paranoid? She asks. Vivian hesitates, glancing at Preston, who steps in smoothly. Your Honor, even if these allegations hold, they don't erase concerns about Mrs. Bishop's judgment, he says. A neutral evaluation of her finances and living situation would benefit all. Judge Watkins removes her glasses, staring at Preston. Counselor, this looks like an attempt to control assets your clients already tried to steal through possible crimes. That's not what guardianship is for. Judge Watkins reviews the documents silently, then delivers her ruling. The petition for temporary guardianship is denied. I'm also issuing a financial protection order barring Vivian and Gregory Reynolds from accessing Eleanor Bishop's accounts, properties, or assets. Relief floods me, not triumph, but the quiet peace of being believed, my autonomy upheld by the court. Judge Watkins continues. Mrs. Bishop, though the petition is denied, I want to ensure you're supported given your recent loss and family issues. Would you accept periodic check-ins from a court-appointed elder advocate? I'd welcome that, Your Honor, I say honestly. Extra oversight feels wise after all this. She nods, then fixes a stern look on Vivian and Greg. Petitioners, using guardianship to seize assets is an abuse of this court. With an active criminal investigation, I'm sending all hearing documents to the district attorney. As the hearing ends, I exhale, feeling both vindicated and heavy with sorrow. I've secured my autonomy, but at the cost of my bond with my only child. Martha squeezes my hand as we stand. You did it, Eleanor. You held your ground. I nod, avoiding Vivian's gaze as we leave. I stood firm, but the ground beneath us is forever changed. The next 24 hours blur with action. Jenny reports 5 house showings scheduled for Thursday and Friday, exceeding expectations. Harriet files the protection order with banks, adding security to my assets. Douglas speeds up the challenge to the fraudulent mortgage, backed by the notary's affidavit proving her stamp was misused. Thursday morning, a calm settles over me, like the stillness after a storm. I return to my house to prepare for showings, with Martha joining me, worried about Vivian or Greg showing up. The house is empty, sunlight spilling through dusty windows. Martha's neat stack of mail sits on the entry table. The kitchen's renovation materials are gone, leaving only faint countertop marks. The silence feels strange, not peaceful, but expectant, as if the house knows change is coming. It doesn't feel like mine anymore, I say, walking through rooms filled with 40 years of memories. Houses sense change, Martha says, her voice carrying the wisdom of 6 decades in one home. We spend the morning cleaning, dusting, and adding fresh flowers for the showings. I tuck family photos away, unable to face Vivian's smiling face as I dismantle our shared past. The task is practical but heavy, clearing space for a future I can't yet see. By afternoon, the house is a polished, neutral showcase ready for buyers. My phone rings, a number I don't know. Mrs. Bishop, this is Amanda Tilley from the district attorney's office. Can we talk about the investigation into Vivian and Gregory Reynolds? I step onto the back porch for privacy. Yes, I'm ready. What do you need? We've reviewed Detective Morris's evidence and the hearing documents, she says. We're preparing charges for mortgage fraud, identity theft, elder exploitation, and forgery against both. The words, though expected, chill me. My daughter facing criminal charges, my grandchildren's parents at risk of jail. What's next? I ask, keeping my voice steady. We'll present to the grand jury next week for indictment. If approved, we'll issue warrants. Given their ties, they'll likely surrender voluntarily. The process feels surreal, tearing apart what's left of my family. And if they're convicted? I ask. Sentences range from 2 to 5 years, though first-timers may get probation with restitution. But the amount and exploitation factor could mean jail time. I sit on the porch steps, where Richard and I watched sunsets, where Vivian jumped rope, where kids ate popsicles. The weight hits me. My actions, though necessary, will ripple to my grandchildren. Martha joins me. Bad news? She asks, sitting close. Criminal charges are coming next week, I say. Fraud, theft, elder exploitation, forgery. She nods. They chose this path, Eleanor. Not you. I could refuse to testify, I say, doubt creeping in. Martha pauses. And what would that teach? That betrayal has no consequences? That laws protecting elders don't apply to family? Her words cut through my hesitation. You're right. I just can't reconcile the daughter I raised with this. People surprise us, Martha says. Sometimes beautifully, sometimes awfully. It's about how we handle it. Jenny arrives for the first showing, a couple in their 30s with a toddler and a baby on the way, seeking a home with history. From Martha's driveway, I watch them tour, the woman touching her belly as she admires Richard's magnolia tree. They love it, Jenny says later. The garden and stair nook especially. They're pre-approved and may offer after tomorrow's second visit. The news should feel good, but it leaves me empty. Another family will fill these rooms with their own memories. Friday brings 3 more showings and Harriet's confirmation that the bank is investigating the mortgage fraud. By evening, Jenny says the couple offers $455,000, slightly below asking, with few contingencies and a flexible closing. It's a strong offer from buyers who love the house, Jenny says. Given the mortgage issue, I'd consider it seriously. I agree to review the formal offer Saturday. An email from Vivian arrives, my first direct contact since the hearing. I hesitate, then open it. Mom, my lawyer says not to contact you due to the investigation, but I need to say this. I never meant for this to spiral. It started as a quick fix for Greg's business, but it got out of hand. Vivian's email continues, I hear you're selling the house and have an offer. I thought our plan would help everyone, but I see you disagree. I won't fight this sale or cause more trouble. The DA contacted us about criminal charges. I don't know what's next, but I'm protecting the kids from this mess. They miss you, and I don't know what to say to them. Vivian. Her careful words, no real apology, no owning the harm, just focus on the kids, show the Vivian I now know, not the daughter I raised. Even with charges looming, she can't fully admit her wrongs or show true remorse. Still, I feel a pang for my grandchildren, innocent in this storm, their lives changed by their parents' choices. I draft 3 replies, then send one that keeps boundaries but holds space for the kids. Vivian, I'm selling the house and expect to accept an offer soon. The legal process for the fraud will continue. The kids shouldn't suffer. I'm open to supervised visits through a neutral party to stay in their lives. Eleanor. Sending it, I know this marks a new phase, not healing, but a careful balance prioritizing the kids while protecting myself. The house quiets as evening falls. Martha's at book club, leaving me with the soft tick of Richard's restored grandfather clock. Tomorrow, I'll likely accept an offer on our old home. Next week, Vivian may face indictment. The peaceful retirement I imagined, surrounded by family, is gone, replaced by a future I'm still shaping. But beneath the pain, I've found strength, skills to navigate betrayal and rebuild my life. This resilience, a gift from my life with Richard, is one I never thought I'd need like this. 3 months after discovering the fraud, I stand in my new condo's sunlit living room, surrounded by chosen keepsakes. It's smaller but smartly designed, 2 bedrooms, open kitchen, a balcony overlooking a community garden. Paid in full with Richard's insurance money, it's safe from future threats. The house sold 2 weeks ago for $455,000 to a young couple expecting their second child, patient through the delayed closing as the mortgage fraud was resolved. Douglas worked wonders, teaming with bank investigators to void the mortgage using the notary fraud evidence. The sale funds are now in a trust, a safeguard Harriet suggested. Martha arrives with a plant for my balcony, part of my Fresh Start garden. The movers did well, she says, eyeing my arranged furniture. It feels like you've lived here forever. Teachers plan well, I say, smiling. I've had time to think this through. These 3 months gave me space to reimagine my home. I donated big furniture, kept meaningful pieces, and bought new ones for me alone, practical yet joyful. Any news? Martha asks, avoiding the heavy topic. Plea hearings Monday, I say. Harriet says they'll likely take a deal, 2 years probation, restitution, community service. The case against Vivian and Greg moved fast after the grand jury. Facing strong evidence, they chose a deal over a trial. How do you feel? Martha asks, helping shelve books. Relieved, I say. Jail wouldn't fix this, and the kids have had enough upheaval. The kids are the hardest part. We've started supervised visits at the community center, a neutral space. They're confused but adapting, knowing Grandma has a new home and their parents have grown-up problems. It's a simple explanation to keep them secure amid the chaos. Speaking of the kids, I say, checking my watch, I should prep for tomorrow's visit. Emma's bringing them at 11 o'clock. Emma, the therapist managing our visits, has eased tensions between Vivian and me, moving from supervisor to facilitator. Tomorrow, they'll see my new home, a big step in our new normal. I'll help with that bird feeder project, Martha offers, heading to the guest room I've set up as a hobby space. As we prep craft supplies, my phone rings, Harriet. Vivian and Greg took the plea deal, she says. They'll plead guilty Monday to mortgage fraud and elder exploitation. Identity theft and forgery charges will be dropped. Relief, sadness, and uncertainty hit me. My daughter's crimes are now official. They'll pay full restitution, including your legal costs, take financial ethics training, and do 200 hours of community service each, Harriet adds. A permanent protection order will keep them from your assets. Thanks, I say, my teachers calm hiding my emotions. Do I need to attend? No, your victim statement submitted. You can go, but it's not required. I share with Martha, who nods. Justice, but not what they deserved. It's enough, I say. Consequences are set, boundaries clear, restitution ordered. More would be revenge, not justice. Martha studies me. You've changed, Eleanor. Not hardened, but stronger. She's right. The trusting mother and grieving widow I was has become someone tougher, yet open to new paths. My condo shows it, watercolor supplies for my new painting class, brochures for a fall coastal tour, business cards for the financial literacy workshop I co-lead to help others. Life surprises us, I say, arranging craft supplies. Richard and I plan to grow old in that house with family. But you're thriving here, Martha says. Richard would be proud. His memory brings pain and comfort. I've wondered what he'd say about Vivian's betrayal. His values, integrity, fair consequences, bounded forgiveness, guide me, not as direct advice but as a steady compass. Sunday shines bright, perfect for the kids' visit. They arrive at 11 o'clock, thrilled to explore Grandma's new castle. Emma hands me an envelope. Vivian asked me to give you this, she says quietly. It's a handwritten note, her first direct words since the hearing. Mom, as we face our consequences Monday, I needed to write. I'm sorry feels small, but it's true. We betrayed you during your worst time, putting our finances over your security. I don't expect forgiveness, but I know we hurt our family and the values you and Dad taught me. The kids love you. I hope you can keep seeing them. Vivian. I read it twice, looking for tricks but finding honest regret, not full accountability, but more than before. Everything okay? Emma asks, seeing my pause. Just unexpected, I say, pocketing the note. The kids call me to the balcony, excited about a sparrow. I set the note aside for later. Today is for bird feeders, cookies, and stories in my new reading nook. Tomorrow brings the plea hearing and choices about what's possible with Vivian. But now, I'm a grandmother enjoying a sunny Sunday in a home that's truly mine. After months of betrayal, this simple joy, being present without fear, is my greatest victory. I've reclaimed my security, confidence, and ability to rebuild. The pain was immense, but here, in my new home, I see what Vivian and Greg never grasped: age doesn't weaken you when you have knowledge, support, and the will to fight. Look, Grandma, my grandson shouts, pointing at another bird. They're building together. I smile, seeing my truth in his words. Yes, I say, watching the birds start a nest. Sometimes a fresh start is just right.